Hey guys,
Hey guys, it's Mark,
it's Michelle.
and this is Mark and Michelle, or another episode of. There, now I'm equal to Michelle.
And
And
still look a little lower.
Okay. All right. You have a longer torso than I
I do, so I'll go down a little.
do. Well, if you do, all right, fine.
Even. So yesterday at work, one of Mark's coworkers said, "Did you find some weed to smoke?"
You're right. Apparently, I was so calm that he thought that was unusual for me. And now,
It is.
Now, this particular guy.
Don't say any names.
Oh, knock it off. And he was born in the wrong decade. He should have been born in the 60s. Or I should say,
Born
he
in the
should have
50s.
been born in the 40s, and late 40s, and raised and become a teenager in his early 20s in the 60s. So, but anyway, he's a real cool guy. I like him. So, what was odd about it is I usually find him to be so laid back that my personal angst found it annoying, right? But now I'm so laid back that he and I were just standing there talking about mushrooms, the magic mushroom kind. Because although I had originally started talking about just plain old edible mushrooms, but he thought I was talking about magic mushrooms. And so we got started talking about that, and then he realized he hadn't done any of those in a while and decided he'd do that this weekend. So anyway, it was fun standing there talking to him. We ignored customers together, which was fun. And other than the guy who looked like Bleeding Gums Murphy on The Simpsons, there's a customer we have that looks just like him.
Really?
Yeah. And that's for those of you who don't know, Bleeding Gums Murphy, I think that's the right name, is Lisa Simpson's saxophone mentor in The Simpsons. But yeah, apparently I'm still laid back, and in fact, so laid back, it's almost as if all time has stopped. It's a weird
Universal time.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling. But anyway, we'll continue on with Autism Lingo, and today,
Coming from recovery.
Coming from the recovery standpoint, even though some of this bleeds over, but I doubt some of the things. In fact, maybe only a few of the terms we ever talk about would bleed over into autism, and I don't care. Neurotoxin.
Neurotoxin. That's our first word today.
It is neurotoxin. Toxins that are destructive to nerve tissue, causing neurotoxicity or nerve damage.
For instance, Epstein-Barr virus releases toxins that damages nerves.
Mm-hmm.
And what was Panda's HPV-6?
HPV-6 and HPV-7.
So all viruses release neurotoxins.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe not all viruses, but then not all bacteria, but some bacteria release viral. For instance, cyanobacteria, blue-green algae, have neurotoxins, and you don't want to put your hands in them. But then tetanus, botulinum, which is from Clostridium botulinum, a bacterium. And so there's neurotoxins all over the place. But medical medium talks about mainly neurotoxins.
Marlo!
Hey! Medical medium talks about neurotoxins specifically from viruses. In fact, I don't remember him talking about neurotoxins from bacteria. So anyway, but that's why.
Well, I guess like DDT is a neurotoxin.
Well, let's see.
We need computer music.
DDT is a colorless, tasteless. Also, there's insecticide.
He says, even though we don't use DDT here anymore, the rest of the world still does, so it's still in the atmosphere. That's what medical medium says. And that is what Agent Orange was.
Here it is. No, it's an endocrine disruptor.
Oh.
So hormones, it destroys hormones. And it probably fills receptors on cells that hormones would go into. It's considered likely to be a human carcinogen, although the majority of studies suggest it is not directly genotoxic. Yeah, I'm not believing
The majority of studies are probably by people who make DDT.
Exactly, or used to make it, one of the two. Moderately toxic, it says, yeah.
Chronic toxicity.
By the high lipid content, chronic exposure after reproductive capabilities and the embryo or fetus. So DDT is fat soluble. So that means it backs up into fat.
So that would be a reason to stop eating fat so that you can get the fat out.
That's a good point, actually. And any fat that may contain, because any foods that may contain DDT.
Right.
But anyway.
So if stuff is fat soluble and you aren't eating fat free and you have, even if you're thin, you can still have a fatty liver. So you've got to stop eating fat until
that liver starts clearing out.
Starts clearing on its own.
Yep. And
getting all this stuff out, fat soluble stuff.
But back to neurotoxins. That's why medical medium talks about having B12, liquid B12, is to repair damage to nerves.
His specific one with the 2 kinds in it.
Mm-hmm. And
methyl and adenyl.
And adenylcobalamin, right. So that's why you have to reduce your viral load with the celery juice and heavy metal detox smoothie. And you start losing weight, start getting healthier. I imagine I haven't had anybody explain what a cleared liver would be like. I don't know personally.
All I know, here's what I'm going with right now. I have stopped gaining weight if I eat fat. I have started losing weight even if I eat fat.
Mm-hmm.
My lymph nodes have gone down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If it's out of the lymph, then the liver's being able to take care of it. So, this week I feel my lymph a little bit this week. I haven't been as fruit centered. I've been eating a lot more cooked food. So I changed that yesterday. I ate all raw until like 9 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think those are signs that the liver's getting better.
Yeah. And maybe the liver book, the liver health book talks about that. I wonder if he has it.
I cannot remember reading that anywhere, so I will look into that.
But neurotoxins. So anyway, I think we've explained those pretty well. But using the celery juice and the heavy metal detox smoothie, those kill viruses. When you kill viruses, they release neurotoxins. They may release neurotoxins whether they're dead or alive anyway.
Yeah.
So
that's why it can be so uncomfortable to detox.
Right. And so
that's why you need the lemon water to flush it out.
So the celery juice and the heavy metal detox smoothie, since they kill them, and that's how you reduce your viral load. But then you stop eating the fat to, hey, Brooke, how are you? And by reducing the fat that you intake, it helps your liver clear that stuff out too. So,
and when I say I've added fat, I mean like a very thin film on the pan,
like a half a teaspoon or a quarter of a teaspoon.
Yeah.
That little fat.
Or I'm having more olives.
Mm-hmm. Now, plant fats seem to be less of a problem than animal fats, because when I was eating meat, I could get inflamed pretty quickly eating meat, and it made me wonder if it wasn't all the other stuff in the meat fat, like hormones and maybe extra metals and that kind of stuff, pesticides and all that. But nut fats, nut oils, avocados can cause a little bit of inflammation. But
they have a lot of fat.
But they do have a lot of fat.
He says only have half an avocado once every 2 days or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting, because that means that the fat content of an avocado takes 2 days. Half of an avocado takes 2 days to process out.
If I'm remembering that correctly,
and
but I do remember it was half.
And that might be for a healthy liver.
Right, I don't know.
So
that might be for an unhealthy liver, actually.
Might be. But anyway, but neurotoxins. So the next word is what most people in the autism community have heard of, neurotypical. And that is a newly coined word that's widely used in the autism community as a label for people who are not on the autism spectrum. That's 99 or 98% of the rest of the planet.
Are neurotypical.
Right. Never mind that autism is on a spectrum itself of all the different mental of the rest of neurodiversity. Because I don't think neurodiversity is right to be hijacked by the autism community alone. Neurodiversity exists in the entire human population. It just does. And so autism is just one end or one spot on that long, huge spectrum of neurodiversity. But the term, sometimes you'll hear autistic adults who are part of the neurodiversity movement use the term autistic. I don't really know what it means, and I don't care. I think neurotypical is far more descriptive than the term autistic.
And so it's a completely made up word?
No,
autistic?
It probably comes from some other, area. But although I wouldn't know what.
Neurotypical is typically called NT. So
yeah, exactly. That's short. And so I saw an interesting conversation on a probiotic ad on Facebook yesterday.
What are you doing reading those?
And because they're funny. And the probiotic was like, this is all an autism kid needs is a probiotic.
Oh.
Right? And I'm like, yeah, okay. Never mind the heavy metals. Never mind the nerve damage caused by viruses, which just about every person that we've helped has treated their kid treated their autistic loved one for viruses and strep and bacteria and seeing gains and seeing healing. So the article was interesting. A guy said, well, you can't heal autism, because he was talking about his son. And so then somebody asked him, well, then why are you on this probiotic thread?
Exactly.
And the guy goes, because I don't want it to get any worse. So
How would it get worse?
So I
oh no, did you talk?
So I said, well, if it gets worse, the implication is it can get better. Nobody answered that. There were a bunch of other people asking this guy why he couldn't think logically about it. And so then I said, I'm a 51-year-old man who spent the last 6 years healing my own moderate autism, and I guarantee you it can get better. Mm-hmm. But it isn't just a probiotic. And I saw a little while ago, nobody answered that either. So I'm like, yeah, okay, guys. I mean, everybody has their beliefs. That's great, but I promise you, because I've seen this happen too many times, autism is more than just healing the gut. In fact, the gut won't stay healed if the liver isn't processing properly, because if the liver isn't processing out neurotoxins, pesticides, heavy metals, and all that kind of stuff out of your body like it should be, all the other organs are going to have those things deposited in them and start to become damaged again. Mm-hmm. That just makes sense. It just makes logical sense, right? And so you have to detox from the heavy metals. You have to control streptococcus loads, viral loads, and you have to reduce them to the point to where they're not a problem. Have I reduced my strep load? Oh my God, yes. Is it as under control as I'd like it? No, but you know what? Detoxing from the heavy metals deprived the viruses and the strep of the metals. And not eating the strep feeding foods like the legumes and the grains and what else? Anyway,
all the other things you're not supposed to eat
as strep feeding foods or viral feeding foods, which are meat. I have reduced the populations of those, so therefore the horrible negative mean behaviors that I had because of the pans, whatever you want to call it, is now gone.
You also reduced your fat. And
right.
When you did that, it really changed.
Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm telling you. Autism is more complex than just one thing. Only because in my late 40s, in my early 50s, I had to address 4 to 5 different areas for it to go away completely. And
it's not as simple as just taking a pill.
It's not. That's a cure. If you don't want any responsibility, then keep looking for a cure. But the truth is, that's why cancer has no cure. I know people are looking for one. But the people who actually heal from cancer are the ones who go, you know what? I'm going to have to fix me.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to change their beliefs about their health. They have to change their behaviors around their health. They have to change their eating. And
we need to start saying 6 things because we need to put beliefs in there.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I'm going to include beliefs in healing
Yeah.
of any kind. Because if you don't believe you can heal, you won't. And you may think that sounds like woo-woo, but I guarantee you that you have a belief in you about something that keeps you from doing it. And because of that belief, you don't do whatever it is that you want to do. I promise.
It might just be that you aren't worthy. You feel you're not worthy.
Right.
You believe you're not worthy.
Right. And that simple belief will keep you from attaining your healing or your goal. And so that's why we talk about beliefs so much. It's because they are the keystone or the linchpin or the whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
They are the things that hold you back. You know what? Easier said. Beliefs either make you or they break you. And beliefs that keep you from healing or keep you from thinking that you can heal or keeping believing that you don't deserve to heal, all of those things are absolutely necessary. Well, our friend Marla says she's always believed that her kids can heal from autism. It's just a wait and see game now.
Marla, though, do you believe you can heal yourself?
Yeah.
That's the big question.
Mm-hmm. Because I've seen a lot of parents of autistic kids who have healed their kids and not realized that they needed the same healing. And it's just like, you know, you can't see what your kids need because you can't see what you need. And usually there's only been partial recovery in those instances that I've seen. And so it's amazing. Whatever, you can't heal what you haven't healed from. You can't help somebody heal from something you haven't healed from. Maybe that's a better way to put it, which is why we do what we do. And so
that was a sermon on neurotypical, Mark.
Yeah, it was. But the whole point of that conversation is now I'm a neurotypical. And one thing that really angers autistic adults who embrace their autism is to tell them there's a neurotypical buried under that autism. It's not I'm trying to anger them, but that's really what the case is. So, all right, let's move on from neurotypical. Obsessive compulsive.
This is perfect because yours is gone now. Obsessive
compulsive personality disorder. Usually with autism, there are obsessive compulsive disorders. Apparently, I had a fairly rare one called obsessive compulsive personality disorder. I remember
she said
a psychologist. Yeah. She said obsessive compulsive disorders are pretty common in the population at large, and they're common in people with autism. But obsessive compulsive personality disorder is one that she said is not all that common. And what it is
you always strive to be different.
Exactly. There you go. Right. And obsessive compulsive personality disorder is characterized by a pervasive preoccupation with orderliness, perfectionism, and control, with no room for flexibility that ultimately slows or interferes with completing a task. That was so me for so long. I had to make sure everything was perfect, even at work, in a kitchen. One of the messiest places to work ever is a professional kitchen. Of course, you clean it up. But I constantly used to leave stuff all strewn around the kitchen. Finally, one of my chefs said, you make sure you put everything back where you get it every time. And so I had to develop the habit. But fortunately, my obsessive compulsive personality disorder helped me develop that habit. And so what it is it helped. The psychologist who diagnosed me said this. She said, it's your way of figuring out the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was. And it was up until a few days ago.
Yeah.
So for 30 years or so, it's how I figured out the world. And But Saturday, maybe, I think it was, or maybe it was Sunday morning. I think it was Sunday morning. I finally worked through all of the emotions that kept that obsessive compulsive personality disorder in place. And now it's gone. That's why we talk so much about healing yourself on the inside, not just physical healing, because you can't be free. Autism causes a lot of behaviors that get permanently set in, or, well, permanently set in. And until you heal those, I wouldn't say you're free from autism, because those behaviors were caused by the autism. Now, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, do I think it was caused by the autism? Hold on a second. No, you don't want to get electrocuted.
This is the same one we always have to move.
Sorry, man. You don't want to bite something and get electrocuted. All right. So it's really important to heal on the inside as well. To heal the traumas, to heal the past hurts, to forgive yourself of the mistakes that you've made. I did a post the other day where I forgave my autism because of the hell that it caused me and her and other people. And it got a lot of response, which I appreciate, but more than anything, I did that because I wanted other people to know what I had lived through.
What he had to do to heal.
And forgiveness is a powerful tool to heal, because there's more healing than just healing this body or healing this brain. When you heal,
we have 4 bodies, actually.
Okay.
The etheric, which is the spiritual, the mental body, the physical, and the emotional. Thank you. Wow.
And if you stop and you think about all of those, that's a lot. And that you have to heal.
You have to heal all of them.
You have to heal all of them. So, well, should we continue on?
Yes.
Okay. Ongoing traumatic relationship syndrome. This is the page that has all of the syndromes and disorders and crap on it.
Right. Also known as the Cassandra.
The definition is one very striking result of growing up with one Asperger parent and one neurotypical parent is that children develop a sense of psychological invisibility. They feel ignored, unappreciated, and unloved because their context-blind Aspie family member is so poor at empathic reciprocity. Yes.
Yeah, I had that. And I've worked through that.
And go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I'll be honest, to add to that, when you're autistic, you're invisible to neurotypicals in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And so you get ignored and feel unloved and unappreciated because of that. You know,
I didn't even know this was a syndrome until
a friend of ours
said, Michelle, you sound like you have this syndrome.
And she's a friend of ours. She's a Canadian life coach in marriage and sex. And she pointed it out to Michelle, and it was like, oh, good.
Yes, I do have this.
Yeah. So that is something, ongoing traumatic relationship syndrome.
And what I had to do was heal the belief that nobody loved me. I had that deep belief that nobody loved me.
Exactly. And by getting rid of that changed her fundamentally.
Me completely.
And so ongoing traumatic relationship syndrome, and you might have that, whether you're autistic or whether you're NT. You might actually have that.
Well, and you could get it even from having an autistic kid, because they don't ever recognize your love.
Exactly. Not because they don't want to.
No.
Just because the autism
just what it is.
Keeps you from doing it. All right. The next word, oppositional defiant disorder. There's a cat in the way. And oppositional defiant disorder is an ongoing pattern of uncooperative, defiant, and hostile behavior toward authority figures that seriously interferes with the child's day-to-day functioning.
I think that's PANS.
I would agree, because pandas and PANS are the next definition. The brain is just so constantly inflamed. He's sniffing a pen.
Okay.
Stop huffing that, bro. And so I can be sure I think Medical Medium has said that.
I don't know. I'd have to look.
Oh, oppositional defiant. Well, okay. I won't say
But
that.
I'm going to guess
sure.
that it's viral.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's viral.
I think it is. It's damage caused by viral neurotoxins. And Healing Mind showed, because I could be, well, I don't know. I wouldn't say I was necessarily defiant to authority.
Yes,
figures.
you were.
You think so?
Yeah, that
okay.
whole episode with the policeman and James.
Oh, yeah, true. I didn't favor that. Yeah, I got right between it, the policeman and a friend of mine told the policeman, "This ain't your business. Get going." And
yeah, you had that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I had that. But should we keep going?
Oh no, I didn't even know it was.
Yeah. Well,
we
guys,
been sitting here.
We will hang up for today, and because like this is a fun.
This weekend I have a gig singing.
Yes.
So we won't be here tomorrow or Sunday.
But we'll see you guys on Monday.
Right.
All right, guys. So continue the celery juice. Continue the heavy metal detox.
And wash it all out with the lemon water.
And www.healyourautism for our free book, Buried Alive: One Man's Journey Out of Autism.
That's a .com.
It is .com. Excuse me. And www.healyourautism.com, and then www.healyourautism.com/buy the book, BUY the book, for Heal Your Autism's do-it-yourself guide. Healing begins in your kitchen. Shows you our detox journey, shows you how to do it, gives you all kinds of tips and tricks and everything else. You'll have very few questions, but if you do, that's when you sign up for coaching.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Know if you need help. Okay, have
See you on Monday. Bye-bye.